It's interesting. I can see a little bit more by talking to you, Matt, why we can't really come to we're not communicating well because we're I would say that you're looking at a more narrow lens of history than I am. Like nothing that you've said about the history of race or racism that I agree with is something that I haven't discovered in my research. So, um, you know, but I feel like there's many things that I would say to you that you have intimated that you don't know about it. So all I could do is suggest that you go find out, right? So
Okay, well,
that's
yeah,
it.
I will go learn some more. It sounds like you've already learned everything, so you're all set.
Well,
And
not everything. I learn new stuff all the time. I talked, like I said, I talk to people from all over the world. I regularly have this show where I talk to people from all over the world about this subject. So I learn more all the time. Learning is like not is an infinite process for us humans that have a finite lifetime. So, you know, no, I would never say that I know everything, but I definitely know more than you, brother. That I can say for sure. But like, that's it. Sorry. I hope that doesn't make you like. I hope you're comfortable with that. But like,
I expected that. I expected that response from you. I've read a pretty broad survey of things and believe my opinion is valid. I believe my opinion is equal to yours in terms of uh, whether it should be heard. I believe white working class voices should be allowed to speak in the racial conversation, even if we don't have the same credentials you have. And I believe that's part of the problem is that they're the largest the largest ethnic group in the United States isn't really allowed to participate in this conversation. You're kind of reifying that with your attitude here, in my opinion.
okay, well, if inviting you to speak, giving you the space to do so and share your opinion,
Well, I do appreciate
I
that.
mean, like literally, I don't know what else I could possibly do other than that. So, like, if that doesn't make you feel like your opinion is being allowed to be shared, like that seems like a personal problem that has nothing to do with me, to be honest. So, like, I mean,
Well,
what else? Exactly what else could I do? Like, is there something else I could do?
uh, you I don't know. It's
Okay, all
it's
right.
disappointing. I thought we were going to have a respectful conversation between equals about sensitive racial issues, and you told me you're better educated than me, and my ideas are delusional. I think you used the term, which you have every right to that opinion, and maybe that's the objective reality. But I do think you're going to see more working class white people speak up and speak out,
I think
and
that's great, brother. I mean, I have had many working class white people come out here and speak. I would not be the one trying to shut down their voice or conversation or opinions, and I wasn't trying to shut yours down either. When I say that something is delusional, I'm not trying to say it. I'm not trying to characterize you as a person or like denigrate you as a person. But like, I also have to be honest about the ideas that are coming forth. Like if it means like I can't just like sit here and suppress myself to like make sure everyone's feelings are taken care of like all the time. Otherwise I'd just be sitting here and be like a sounding board for
Yeah,
other people,
it's no,
which is what a
it's
lot
not
of
about
people try
feelings.
to
I'm not
want me to
saying I'm
do.
not saying that
But
you hurt my feeling. I'm saying like with the Supreme Court thing, where you repeatedly insisted that I couldn't be correct because of your background,
no.
despite the fact
That's
that the
no.
Supreme
That's
Court
not
and the
what I
majority
did.
of people, that's
No. I
exactly
didn't.
what you did.
No. I wasn't saying you couldn't be correct because of my background. I was saying that like you were kind of dismissing my background in terms of my analysis of the situation. And I was just saying that like that's all I have, right? It's like all of the education I've had, all of the proximity of closeness to the problem that I've had, to the supposed problem, like that's all I have. So like you discounted it. So like I was basically like after that, like what can I do? What can I say? What can I do? Right? Like that's why I said a lot of people want me to just sit there and do nothing and just pretend like I can't have an opinion or can't
Oh no,
or can't know more.
I'm not trying to tell you how to behave on your own show. Absolutely, I'm just suggesting that white American people are not oppressors. They are in fact systemically oppressed by today's society, and they're beginning to organize and speak up and push back against that. and it's not just a simple narrative of uh, my identity isn't centered on oppressing you. To be white in America doesn't mean to be oppressing Black people. It's an
It
entire
literally has
ethnic group
always
history
meant
and
that, brother.
heritage.
It literally has always meant that. You're going to have to deal with.
It means that to you. It
No,
means that
brother,
to
the
you
people who
because that's
created
your
white,
perspective.
it meant that to them. So, like,
No, I already, that's not where whiteness wasn't invented like that. That's
yeah, I think
this
okay. So,
narrative,
so we're
this
not
Kindi
gonna
narrative.
we're not gonna agree about how whiteness was invented. But again, a psychologist is not gonna be the one you want to go to about that. But like, like I will say, look that up. But like, regardless, let's say that I agreed with you that whiteness came out of some kind of benevolent defense of like a culture, which I don't believe. But like, let's say that I did believe it. You already acknowledged that then it was weaponized, right, against black people for generations. So like, I guess like, so
That doesn't make the identity no longer valid.
well,
Just
don't you
because an
think it
identity
tainted the
group,
identity?
huh?
Don't you think it tainted the identity? Didn't don't you think the identity was subsumed in that dehumanization of others?
No, that's your perspective. The Black
Okay.
experience in America is only one part of this rich experience
No, I mean I agree.
of
I agree,
America.
but I want to hear from you. Like, why do you think that a generations long history of actively and through every means of power possible suppressing other people using the category of white doesn't mean that the identity of whiteness, why that wasn't
It's
subsumed?
it's because, well, I mean, for one thing, we're white Americans actually fought and died by the hundreds of thousands to overcome that system, which is a cool part of our story. But that system is universal. Chattel slavery still occurs in Africa today. Is in no way unique to the white people or to black people. It was a universal human phenomenon, and
But
in
that
many
doesn't
parts of the
answer the
world remains a
question.
daily reality.
That's
This
not the
idea
question.
that I have this deep historical ancestral guilt for a unfair relationship, an imbalanced relationship between your people and my people hundreds of years ago, and that my identity is not valid and should be deconstructed on account of that is deeply unfair. It's like saying that Jewishness should be deconstructed because of the crimes happening in Gaza right now. I agree that the crimes happening in Gaza right now are horrific and absolutely cry out for justice, but that justice does not entail genocide, does not entail the deconstruction or ethnic cleansing of the Jewish people. It does not. It doesn't taint the Jewish identity. I, uh, Nations. Uh, I mean, just like with Black Americans, like the crime rates and the illiteracy issues that Black Americans struggle with today. I don't think that makes Black Americans less valid.
It's
I
really
don't.
interesting because whenever I ask you a question about whiteness, you talk about everything except whiteness. You use other groups to try to do this comparison thing, but like I want you
Because
to try
that's
to
the only way to
focus.
reach you.
No, you're not reaching me. I want you to
Well,
focus.
I'm trying. I'm trying by analogy.
I don't want you to
Uh,
try by analogy. I want you to tell me why you believe specifically about whiteness these things, but you go to every other group to try to do a comparison in order to do that. Can you not talk about just whiteness and why you think that like it's not it was the identity of whiteness, even if it was started the way that you said, was then not subsumed into this like weaponized version that then kind of took over for
no,
generations?
it didn't get consumed by this weaponized version. In one region within America, which was much larger than the plantation South, this weaponized system of oppression occurred. That does not mean that the white American identity, which was much larger than that, was in any way tainted or needs to be deconstructed for the safety of the world or whatever you're thinking. I'm not trying to assume what uh, uh, how you expect my ethnic identity to go from here. But it sounds like what you're telling me is that my identity is inferior to yours because of this historical crime.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
And
that's
so
why I said it sounded like I'm inviting you to explain how.
okay, brother. Well, At a certain point, you got to start reflecting on how what things sound like to you are never what it is that I'm saying, right? Like I'm constantly saying, no, no, that's not what I mean. No, 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 when you're trying to repeat. So at some point, you've got to
At no point have I said your identity is
I'm just
invalid,
telling you, bro.
and you keep repeatedly insisting that my white identity is not valid.
I don't think that whiteness is an identity, first of all.
See,
So
that's
like I mean that's where we don't agree about the ethnic
if I were to
nature.
say I don't think blackness is an identity, I think blackness is just a big old web of crime and watermelon and fried chicken. It's not a real identity. Um, would you find that deeply offensive?
Well, I would call it racist, but like I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, I think you're
if you
being
just
racist to me.
stopped by saying that blackness is not, I don't think blackness is an identity, I would agree with you. So like anyways, you throwing stuff out and then seeing what sticks is not an effective way. Like you have to try to ask more pointed questions about what I actually believe. Yeah, if you were to say that black, I don't think blackness is an identity, I would be like, yeah, we would be on the same page. I'm sure you didn't think about that. And so like my point is like
No,
we're not quite.
earlier you did imply that it was an identity, but I think the vast majority of Black Americans do see their blackness as an identity, as a cultural phenomenon, as an ethnic phenomenon. Um,
I think black people understand that a culture has come out of blackness being placed on us. But would we call that our identity? No. Like, we know what it is, brother. We know that blackness is something that was placed on us. We didn't choose blackness, ever.
no, your blackness existed before you even came here. Your blackness is integral to who you are.
No,
It's not
brother,
just
it wasn't.
there's more to
It's
your identity than being oppressed by me.
Listen,
That's
brother, my
your
blackness.
people's being oppressed by my people is not what your or my identity orbits around. It's an unfortunate historical phenomenon that's been resolved, and we should try to move beyond it. And this idea that my identity or your identity are entirely contingent upon and centered on the slavery hundreds of years ago. I don't think fair to white people or black people.
I mean, I literally didn't say that. So, right? So, like, I never said that our identities are contingent upon slavery. I never made that claim.
I
So,
think you implied it.
no, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I don't know how clear I can be except for to tell you no. Like, that is not what I'm
What's
saying,
blackness?
nor am
What's
I trying to
blackness?
imply it.
What's blackness?
I'm telling you, blackness, just like whiteness, which was imposed on you against your will, it's not, it is a legacy of a racial hierarchy. That's what it is. And the
That's
racial
exactly what I
hierarchy put
just said.
black on bottom
You're
and
saying that
white on
whiteness
top.
and blackness is just a racial hierarchy exploitation thing.
That's
That's
exactly
exactly
what it
what
is,
I
brother. It
just
never
say.
was
You're
anything
saying
else. It never has been anything else, ever. And so it's always been used for that purpose as well. It's never been used for any other purpose. So, like, it's just hard for me to.
the idea that's never been used for any other purpose is farcical. There, there's plenty of times that black people think of themselves as black or think of black culture independently and not relative to white people.
That's not really true. Can you give me an example, maybe, and then I can show you why that's not correct?
I mean, it's difficult because I can't project myself into black shoes without being accused of projecting myself into black experiences that I don't have. But from my black friends and the black authors that I've read, there's a rich world of blackness that isn't about me.
Well, I mean, it may not be about you as an individual white person or white people in general, even, um, but it's still related to whiteness. Like anything that we're labeling black is always going to be related to whiteness because it all comes out of whiteness. Like blackness came out of whiteness. It did not come from anything else. You were talking about African immigrants to the country. They're not black before they come here. They're not black before they come here. They don't think of themselves as black in Africa. They come here and the label of black
Oh, they
is put
do.
on them. And then they're like, what? Like, I'm not black. I'm Nigerian, you know, like, but then they find out, no, no, no. When you step foot on the shores of America, you become black and everyone who sees you is black. And maybe once they hear your African accent, they'll think of you differently. But before then, you're black. and
But
they learn that.
well, first of all, understanding that you're different from other people because you see other people is not a unique phenomenon to the black white. I mean, if a black man goes to Japan, or if a black man goes to India, or if a black man goes to
Oh no,
China,
I've
or
been to
wherever,
Japan, brother. So when I went to Japan, was I black? No, I
and you
wasn't. I was American. I was American. They think of you as an American. They do not think of you as black. So like that's what I'm trying to say is that your conception of it is not correct.
I think Japanese people see you as black. I think there's
Brother, I was there. So like me telling you I was there, that I had this conversation, that like I literally talked to other Japanese people, like that means nothing to you. So then it's just like, what exactly? What
well, you just
exactly?
keep arguing from authority.
I'm just
And
arguing from my
you know,
experience. I was there as a black person in Japan, the very thing we're talking about. If that
Now,
doesn't matter, like then like it's hard for me to then like understand what would matter to you. You know, like what does matter to you, like in terms of like believing that maybe
well,
something else could be true.
the
I don't
the
know.
wealth of literature on racial dynamics in East Asia would be relevant to me. All of which refute your claim that you were seen primarily and exclusively as an American when you were in East Asia.
Okay. I don't. Can you give me an
I did
example of
see
how?
racism towards black people when I lived in China. I did I did see that.
I mean,
And
I'm not, guys.
I'm
There,
I'm just
I
I'm
don't need to
just
make an absolute statement about racial dynamics in order for what I said to be correct. Like,
no, I'm not saying that you're incorrect. I'm just saying that I have seen anti-black racism
yeah,
in other countries.
because anti-blackness has been exported by the United States just like a lot of other things the United States
But
exports.
but the thing about China and rural China is they don't have access to a lot of things in America because they block American culture. Like they don't let a lot of American stuff in.
Right.
Also, one of the weird things that I saw, it's not really anti-blackness, it's anti-dark skin, is that when I lived in Taiwan, the pregnant women would say, "Don't eat soy sauce because it makes your baby dark."
Yeah.
So I've seen the anti, like all kinds of discrimination and hate and things that people do. And one of the things that y'all both have in common is that you disagree with what I'm putting forward.
No,
So
no,
that,
Jason, because you gotta just please try to acknowledge me for what I actually believe and say. Both of you guys have trouble with this. Because, Jason, I specifically said that I do agree with what you're trying to do. I made one small
gotcha,
caveat, and you
gotcha.
turned it
Okay,
into
that's
that.
clear. That's clear. Then that's clear now. That's clear now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.